All right, what is up, my peeps? Joshua Smithy with another GSD Mode podcast, weekly real estate tip. And today I'm here to break down how to deal with difficult clients inside your real estate business. If you're in this business long enough, you know what I'm talking about. You're going to have to go out there and deal with difficult clients. Not all clients are going to be those ideal clients, those easy clients, the clients that you love to work with. There's going to be some of those, but you're going to also have those that are more challenging, those that are more difficult. And by difficult, and there can be a lot of different reasons that they can be difficult, but that might be okay. Maybe you got a client that's extremely needy. You got a client that's maybe rude or disrespectful. You know, you got a client that maybe they're really respectful. They're not needy, but maybe they just don't follow instructions. They don't listen. There's a lot of different reasons that can lead to them being a more challenging, difficult client to go out there and work with. But regardless, because it's just how human behavior works, there's a percentage of human beings that are easy to work with and a percentage of them, or it's a smaller percentage, but there's going to be a percentage of them that pose some additional challenges. So it's going to come up. It's going to happen. So then, okay, how do we go out there and learn then to navigate through these more challenging, difficult relationships inside a real estate business for if and when, I shouldn't say for if, I should say when they come up. All right. And this was actually, I was inspired to create this. This actually came up as a live topic in my team mastermind this morning. So every single Tuesday with my real estate team here in Phoenix, Arizona, get all my agents together and we do a mastermind. We're breaking down what's working really well inside of our business and, asking questions on those things. And we break down, okay, what's the current biggest obstacle that we're experiencing that if we can overcome and hone in and dial on this obstacle, then boom, our business can get to that next level. And this was actually a live obstacle that one of my agents was experiencing today, which again inspired me to create this podcast here because I thought it'd be extremely helpful for all of you that watch and listen to this podcast. And everything I'm going to break down also, this is going to apply to individual agents if you work with buyers and sellers, or look, even if you're a team leader and your clients are agents, look, it's the same thing there. Like, dude, it's just human beings, right? Just how we got to deal with difficult human beings. There's a way to go out there and deal with them and manage those more challenging relationships more effectively, with that. Now, real quick, 2 quick favors I have for you before we jump into breaking this down. Okay, first one, if you are watching this podcast on YouTube, please smash that subscribe button for me. I am so damn close to 30,000 subs. Saw that and I was like, man, I don't know why in my head, but I'm like, man, I just want to get beyond those 30,000 subs. So if you could smash that subscribe button, it'd mean a lot to me. Then from there, if you are watching this podcast on YouTube and you want to be alerted of all future podcasts, I usually create podcasts, at least 3, sometimes, 5 a week. So almost daily here on the podcast. So if you want to make sure that you're not missing out on future podcast episodes, hit that notification bell. Okay. So the second favor, I'm bringing back the GSD Mode podcast knowledge rounds. I used to do these years ago. I love doing them. I don't really know why I stopped, but I was reflecting on the podcast the other day and I'm like, man, I love doing those. I want to bring them back. So the GSD Mode knowledge rounds are where I answer here on the podcast your specific live questions that you have. And by live, I mean live situations that are taking place inside your real estate business right now that you can email me those questions. And then I can do a deep dive on answering those questions here on the podcast. So it can be specific to certain problems and obstacles that you are experiencing that will take your business to the next level. So if you have a situation, if you have a question, if you have an obstacle that you are experiencing, that if you can get that honed in and dialed in, you believe it would take your business to the next level and you want me to answer that here on the podcast, shoot me an email to joshua@gsdmode.com. In the subject line, put podcast question. So podcast question in this subject line. That way I can filter it, know that, we all get a bazillion emails a day. So that way I can make sure that they don't get missed and I can get those answered here on the podcast for you. And just so you know, like I'm not going to add you to some email list and start spamming you. I won't add you to my CRM or anything like that. It's just stay in my email box. You don't have to worry about getting spammed or flooded. I'm just a way for me to answer your questions. If you think I can be a benefit to you in your real estate business, and it gives me a chance to do that here on the podcast. Okay. So now let's talk about and break it down. Okay. What is the process of going out there and dealing with difficult clients? Okay. Step number 1, and this is really important. It's easier said than done, but it's extremely, extremely important, is you must first remove emotions from it. Look, when somebody's rude to you, when somebody disrespects you, when somebody's just bugging the living shit out of you, like it's easy to get emotional. It's easy to get frustrated. But here's what I've learned in my 20 years of entrepreneurship, 20 years of becoming one of the top team leaders and realtors on the planet. I've learned that, man, frustration typically, like, frustration's our best friend. Frustration shows us, typically, most of the cases, most of the times, not always, but in most situations, frustration shows us where we are lacking a process internally inside of our business. So it shows us and it can expose those different holes inside of our business. And I'll give some examples to with this here in a moment. But step number one is to remove emotions from this. Step number two is then you got to take 100% full responsibility. Again, easier said than done, but this is what all great operators do, what all great leaders do. So when you're taking 100% full responsibility, instead of being like, oh man, why is this person such a dick? Why is this person so needy? Why does this person not listen? What I want you to do is take 100% responsibility and ask yourself, okay, how is this my fault? What could I do differently? How could I communicate differently? How could I explain things differently? What internal processes am I missing inside my business where this is my fault that led to this situation happen? So then that, again, it gives us an area of exposing those holes. So as an example, the situation that came up with my teammate this morning, okay, they got a call from Zillow. This was a Zillow lead, wanted to go see this particular property at this particular time. They explained to the Zillow lead that, hey, the home is occupied. I'm going to go out there and request to be able to see it at that time, but we got to wait to get that response, in whatnot. Then from there, reached out to that person. They couldn't go see that property at that time. The person was pissed because they were already driving. They already left there. And this person, there was other reasons too. This person was short as they were asking questions. They were just, shut off, didn't want to give them any answers and so forth. So then with that, I was like, okay, then break that down and be like, okay, well, did I slow down and really explain? And am I slowing down and really explaining this to every single, potential client or a client of how the showing process works, what we got to do to set those up, the importance of understanding that, hey, yes, these are homes for sale in the market, but these are, a lot of these homes are going to be occupied. You have families living inside there. Some of these families might have young kids. They have work. They have other commitments. So, and then breaking down, okay, what are the steps? Okay, well, I want to see the property at this time. Okay, I'll do everything I can to make that happen for you. But just so you know, here's what these steps are. So I got to reach out to the listing agent with that proposed time. They're going to have a conversation with their client about that. Now, if that works for them, they will then come back to me with that approved time. Then I will reach out to you to let you know that we are set for that approved time. But until I reach out to you, with that set approved time, because there's multiple parties involved here. And again, people are living in this home and people that work and have families and raising families and have pets and animals. It's really important that we have this set up properly, and I will reach out to you with confirmation as soon as that time has been set. Now, if that time doesn't work, I know I'll do everything I can to make sure that time works, but what are maybe some alternative times that you have just in case that time does not work? So are we slowing down? Are we really explaining that process? And I know that, okay, sometimes it's like, well, yeah, I am telling them that. Yeah, but are you slowing down with it? Are you really emphasizing it? Are you confirming it? Sometimes people, this happened with my son the other day. And this was several months ago, but I go in, son's 30, he was 13 years old, or it was 13 at the time. And he had his volleyball game that morning, but it was like a Saturday morning. My wife's out of town. So now we had to leave the house at like 8:05 a.m. I got a 7 a.m. sales call that I had to jump on. So I ran up to his room, woke him up at like 6:50. I'm like, oh, dude, I need you to get up, need you to get ready, need you to eat, need you to have everything packed because I'm going to be on a sales call from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. So then as soon as I hang up from that sales call, like, we got to leave, man. So I need you to be ready. Now, I woke him up. He was looking at me right in the eyes as I said that to him, and I gave him those instructions. And I thought, okay, man, we were cool. Everything was cool. So then I go jump on that sales call, get done at 8 a.m., run up to his room at 8:01 a.m. Dude, still, homeboy, still sacked out, still sleeping. And I'm like, Landon, I'm like, dude, didn't you hear me? And he looks at me, he's like, Dad, I saw you, but man, I was so tired. I wasn't really listening. So, okay, boom, frustration, man, right? Like, didn't listen to me. I'm like, what the hell? But then from there, okay, remove emotions from it. How is this my fault? So then from there, now, just to eliminate that frustration, now, anytime I give him explicit instructions, I'm like, okay, repeat back to me exactly what I just said. Right now, I'm not going to say to go out there and, ask a client to repeat back everything that you just said, but then that way, okay, I'm making sure that they're internalizing it. So looking at this stuff of, okay, like, am I explaining this with enough emphasis? in a slow manner where they can understand it, they can grasp it, but then you can get a confirmation without them having to repeat back of just, does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Okay, right. So I'll call you as soon as I have that confirmation to let you know that we are good to go and that time still works for you. Sound good? Yep, that sounds great. Okay, great. Yeah, right. Okay, so early on in my career, I'll give a couple other examples here. So early on in my career, um, I get extremely frustrated with these buyer clients, man. I'm going out there and showing these properties to these buyer clients, it didn't happen all the time, but it's a small enough percentage where it creates that frustration, creates that pain, creates that heartbreak, where I'd spend, I don't know, let's just say 3 weeks with these clients, going out there and showing them all these properties. Then all of a sudden they go AWOL on you, start ghosting you. 2 weeks, goes by, you finally get in touch with them only to find out they went through an open house or found a for sale by owner, or went to a new build, ended up buying that without your representation after you just exhausted all this time, energy, effort to them, and initially I get pissed. I'd be like, what the hell's wrong with people, man? People are just, I started getting like a negative perspective about people. Like people are just disloyal, they don't care. They don't respect me and my time and, whatever. But then, started learning the things that I'm telling you here today of, okay, no, this is my fault. Let me remove emotions from this. How is my fault? Okay. Am I during the buyer consultation breaking down and explaining of exactly what I need them to do and how I need them to operate in the event that they see an open house and I'm not with them? What do I need them to do? How do I need them to operate in the event they see a for sale by owner? What do I need them to do? And how do I need them to operate in the event that they see a new build development that they want to go check out? So here in Arizona, that may not make sense for some of you, but here in Arizona with new builders, if I do not accompany my client onto that property where I register them and I'm not present to register them, on their first visit there, now I can't represent them. So, they think in their mind that, oh, this is harmless. I'm just going to go walk in here and check out these models. And yeah, if I'm going to go out there write an offer, I'll get my realtor involved. Well, then boom, now I'm cut out of that deal. I can no longer represent them. They void and waive their right to representation, at least how most new builders, work and operate out here, in Phoenix Metro. But it was my fault. I was making assumptions, and assumptions will always lead to unmet goals, heartbreak, frustration, and so forth with that. So looking at this, okay, so when that comes up, when that frustration comes up, as pissed as whatever, just remove those emotions. Now that might take a couple hours, might even take a day. Fine. I'm not saying that, become Dexter from, that show Dexter, whatever his name was on Dexter. I guess his name is Dexter, the sociopath that has no emotions. Not saying that you got to become that. We all have emotions. We're going to feel those emotions, but when those emotions have subsided, or do the best that you can to detach from those emotions so you can look at this objectively, then ask yourself, okay, how is this my fault? How am I responsible? What could I do, or what can I do differently inside my business going forward, to make sure that they're informed and educated on this? So another example of this, I used to get sellers on my listing side. Sellers would blow me up all weekend. Hey, dude, we just had a showing. What'd they think? We just had a showing. What'd they think? And I'm like, man, these sellers are freaking needy. Like, whatever. And didn't give me a chance to be able to go out there and get feedback. And, but then what I realized was, dude, look, I didn't have, number one, I didn't have the right communication protocol up front. Number two, I wasn't explaining that communication protocol to my clients, of exactly what that looks like. So now I have an internal process for every little thing inside my business. So if I got sellers, it's like, hey, every single Tuesday by end of business day, you're going to get this in-depth, detailed report outlining these things. Here's what I'm going to do, where I'm going to do it, why I'm going to do it. Buyer clients, seller clients under contract. Boom. Here's our communication protocol. Everybody knows from the second they become, a client, all the way through closing, of what to expect, what the process is. All of that's communicated up front. And that removed like 90+% of all those frustrations or all those challenges that I had, with the other challenging, difficult clients. It wasn't that they were necessarily challenging or difficult. It was I didn't have the internal processes. I wasn't explaining and informing them correctly because I was lacking the internal processes, of how to handle these different situations and how for me to create a process based on different personality types to go out there and handle those. So it becomes really crucial and important inside your business. And the cool thing is now you're able to go out there and grow and expand in your internal processes as these things come up. So again, man, pain and power come from the same place. Where you're experiencing pain is usually what then leads to, if you allow it to be the best teacher that it is, the amazing teacher that it is, will allow you to create powerful systems and powerful protocols inside your business. So just remember that frustration is showing where you are typically, not in all cases, but in the vast majority, frustration is showing where you are lacking a process internally inside your overall business. Okay, so then from there, the second step here of how to deal with difficult clients. Now, this is the ultimate step to get to. And this is where this business became a shit ton of fun for me. Is okay, learn to get so damn good at client acquisition, master client acquisition, like the first thing that you really need to hone in, the first skill set that you must really master inside your real estate business is client acquisition strategy. What do I mean by that? I mean by your ability to go out there and acquire way more customers, way more clients that you personally, physically can go out there and handle. And the great part about it, so we're mastering our lead gen, our lead follow-up, we're mastering our processes, our strategies, our skill sets. You're mastering those things, right? So then also now once you get to that point where you got more customers than you can handle, now you get to be very picky and choosy on who you choose to work with, so you can sift and sort out. Like you no longer need the difficult, challenging clients. You can be. Now, I'm not going to say that even when you are picky and choosy, that sometimes, a challenging, more difficult client won't slip in there. It can happen. That's why we want to have the tools that I talked about, that deep dive that I did on the first portion of this podcast, but for the most case, now you're able to pick and choose those clientele that you truly want to work with, that are your true ideal client, that you connect with the best, that you enjoy working with the best, where it doesn't even feel like work anymore. It feels like you're just getting paid to go out there and help your good friends, through that. So that is the ultimate strategy. But in order to get to the ultimate strategy of getting ourselves in that position where we can be picky and choosy, well, like we got to then go out there and manage some of these difficult relationships. Like, believe me, man, I understand what it's like to be desperate in this business where, like, no matter how challenging, just like, I just need commissions, I need money. So I'm going to tolerate being a human punching bag. Like, dude, I've been through those stages of my business. I was there too. So there's going to be that phase where, yeah, we got to go out there and maybe deal with a lot more difficult clients. Then once we hit that ultimate phase, that step 2 phase, where our pipeline is always so full, you got more clients, you got more customers than you can handle, getting to the point where you're like a week out from being able to take on a new client, even as an individual agent. Now, the other thing is that will position you to be able to start expanding a team, and leverage and growth in other ways. And that's a topic for a different podcast. But then you can start being extremely picky and choosing your business. And again, that's where life gets damn good. So those are my 2 steps for how to deal with very difficult clients inside your real estate business so you can manage and navigate those successfully. All right, so real quick here as I wrap up this podcast. Look, if you are an individual real estate agent, if you are a real estate team leader or a real estate brokerage owner, which I'm guessing if you made it to this point in this podcast, that's who you are, and your real estate business is not exactly where you truly want it to be. Maybe a business is down here, but your full potential is way up here, but you just do not know exactly what you must do to get from where you're at to where you want to go. Whether your business is declining, whether it's stagnant, maybe it's growing, just not growing at the path and the pace that you want it to grow at, and you just do not know exactly what you must do to get from where you're at to where you want to go. If that is you, I invite you to schedule a 100% free, 100% zero pressure Zoom coaching call with me personally. It's going to be a 1 hour long Zoom coaching call with you and I. So it's going to be me personally that shows up for these. The reason why I emphasize and stress that is, I jump on a lot of these people like, oh, I can't believe it's you, man. I thought it was going to be somebody from your team. No, this is going to be me and you. Here's what we're going to break down on this free coaching call: where your business is currently at, what your 12-month goals are, what your long-term goals are, what you're currently doing, what your biggest obstacles are, what your skill sets are, what your situation is. Then from there, based on all that information, I'm going to map out, if I were you, if we were to trade places, I was you, based on your situation and your goals, here's exactly what I would do. Here's exactly what I recommend that you do to get from where you're at to where you want to go in the quickest, most effective, efficient, profitable manner possible. And I promise you this is not some shallow coaching call. I usually charge $1,000 an hour for these coaching sessions, doing them right now for a limited amount of time for free for those of you that listen and support the GSD Mode podcast here. So right now they're 100% free, but this is a powerful deep dive coaching session. I promise you, you will not leave this free coaching call without knowing exactly what you must do to get exactly from where you're at to where it is that you want to go. Now, you might be thinking, well, Josh, why are you doing these free coaching calls, dude? There's got to be a catch. Look, here's the catch. And there's really no catch. There's no strings attached. Yes, the first 50 minutes, we're going to go through everything that I just discussed, everything I just talked about, which is plenty enough time. Look, I've coached and mentored over 5,000 agents, team leaders, and broker owners. I promise you, you will not leave this coaching call in that first 50 minutes without knowing exactly what you must do to get from where you're at to where you want to go. The last 10 minutes, yeah, I'm going to spend a few minutes walking through what my coaching program entails. And if it's a fit for you, great. If not, that's okay too. Everything I do is zero pressure. I'm not going to hard sell you. I'm not going to ask you to whip out a credit card. I'm not going to make you feel guilty. None of those bullshit high pressure sales tactics. I hate when that crap's done to me. I'm not going to do it to you. It's just more of a, hey, here's what I got. If it's something you think would be beneficial, something you think would be useful in your business, something you want to do, cool. If not, that's okay too. We can still be friends. I promise you this, that even if you never move forward with my paid coaching program, what you gain out of this free coaching call, if you execute and take action on what I tell you to do, will greatly, massively impact your business and change your business and change your life. So if you want to take advantage of that, you want to schedule that, go to www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call, www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. Now, if you're thinking, well, I'm just going to wait, I'm not quite ready to book this yet, I'm going to wait until XYZ time. Look, these are very I love doing them. Absolutely love doing them, but they are very time consuming for me. Right now, I've slotted aside about 4 hours a day for these. But it is very time consuming. I'm not going to be able to continue doing them forever. Right. So don't miss out on your opportunity, because it's not going to be here forever. Probably not going to be here for that much longer that I'm able to offer these for you guys. So I highly encourage you, don't wait, jump on there right now. You got nothing to lose, everything to gain, by taking advantage of this. So again, www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. And last quick reminder, if you have a specific situation, a specific question that you'd like me to answer here on the podcast that would help your, certain situation get dialed in your real estate business, submit that question to joshua@gsdmode.com. Subject line, put podcast question, and I'll do my best to get that answered here on a podcast ASAP. All right, guys, keep crushing, keep kicking ass. I will see you next time. Peace.